Your child might not be anxious because of the world. They might be anxious because of you. Stay until the end, because I'm going to show you how fear transfers silently and how to stop it. Welcome to Life with Kai. We consolidate, investigate, and translate the research so you don't have to. Our content breaks down evidence-based parenting insights and psychology-backed tools, blending scientific research with real-life experiences to create practical, relatable guidance for everyday families. Today we're talking about fear, not obvious fear, subtle fear, the kind that sounds like love. You say, be careful, don't climb that, that's dangerous. What if you fall? And you mean protection, but your child's nervous system feels the world is unsafe. Children don't just inherit your DNA, they absorb your emotional baseline, and fear spreads quietly. Pattern interrupt. Are you protecting your child or preparing them? Big difference. The silent transfer happens in the micromoments. When we gasp before they even trip, we signal that danger is everywhere. Research shows that parents who model calm in the face of manageable risk raise children with higher stress tolerance. It's about co-regulation, where your calm becomes their calm. This is where the work begins. By observing our own physiological responses, we can choose to respond rather than react. This choice is what interrupts the cycle of anxiety and builds true resilience. You bring the courage, I'll bring science. Talk weird. Next week, identity. Subscribe. Here's what yarn science shows. Children co-regulate with parents. It's not just about what you say, it's about how your nervous system responds to the warmth. If your tone tightens, if your body stiffens, if your voice spikes when risk appears, their nervous system mirrors it. Anxiety is contagious, not because you taught it verbally, because you modeled it physiologically. You are a mirror, and they are constantly reflecting your internal state. Research in attachment theory shows secure children experience exposure, support, and recovery, not avoidance. Avoidance feels like safety, but it's actually a trap. When we prevent every discomfort, we prevent coping rehearsal. And coping rehearsal is how the brain builds resilience pathways. Think of it as a muscle that needs resistance to grow. Micro example, your child hesitates to order food. You step in. It feels helpful in the moment, but we're missing an opportunity. Child hesitates to speak. You answer for them. Child struggles socially. You preemptively smooth it. It feels loving, but it quietly says, you can't handle this. And identity forms from repeated messaging. If the message is, I'll handle it for you, the internal belief becomes, I am not capable. Rapid joke. If we removed every uncomfortable moment, we'd all still be afraid of tying our own shoes. Fear-based parenting feels responsible, but responsibility without exposure builds fragility. True protection is preparation for the storm, not hiding from the rain. So how do we break the mirroring? It starts with the pause. When risk appears, notice your heart rate, notice your breaths. If you can stay regulated, they can learn to regulate. We aren't just raising children. We are training nervous systems for a lifetime of challenges. This is the core of attachment research from places like Stanford and Harvard. We have to be the emotional anchor in their storm. By modeling regulation, we give them the tools to build their own. It is a slow, intentional process, but it's the most powerful thing you can do for their long-term mental health. We consolidate, investigate, and translate the research so you don't have to. You bring the courage, I'll bring the science. Copy earned. Lost, the overprotection paradox. Here's the paradox. The more we try to control outcomes, the less control our child develops internally. Because control must be practiced, not inherited. You cannot hand your child confidence. They earn it through micro-risk, climbing slightly too high, speaking slightly nervous, failing slightly publicly. That's how stress tolerance increases when you say, I'll do it. Instead of, you try, I'm here. You remove rehearsal, and the brain wires accordingly. Pattern interrupt. Is your intervention reducing harm or reducing growth? There's a fine line between protection and prevention of progress. Fear-based parenting often stems from this belief. If something bad happens, I failed. But discomfort is not danger, and growth rarely feels comfortable. If we remove the struggle, we remove the learning. Safe struggle is the primary classroom for resilience. It's where they learn that they are capable of handling hard things. Control is a skill, and like any skill, it must be practiced in microdoses. Every time they manage a small frustration, their brain wires for capability. Every time we step in too soon, we interrupt that wiring. The brain wires accordingly. When they face a challenge and succeed, or even fail and recover, those neural pathways strengthen. This is the biological foundation of self-trust. The paradox is that our very instinct to protect is what can create fragility. Research shows that children who have been over-supported often struggle with decision-making and anxiety later in life because they haven't practiced the internal regulation required for independence. By stepping back, we aren't being indifferent. We are being intentional. We are holding space for them to find their own strength. It is a slow, intentional process, but it's the most powerful thing you can do for their long-term mental health. We are building the architecture of self-efficacy, one small struggle at a time. We consolidate, investigate, and translate the research, so you don't have to. You bring the courage, I'll bring the science. Copy earned. Next, practical rewire. Subscribe. One question parents ask us all the time is, why does my kid melt down so easily when other kids seem fine? Here's the truth. Not all nervous systems are wired the same. Some kids are just more sensitive to their environment. They might be more sensitive to noise, transitions, hunger, fatigue, or social demand. This isn't weakness, it's temperament. Research shows temperament is biologically based, not caused by your parenting style. You aren't doing anything wrong. Many meltdowns aren't emotional at first. They're sensory. Bright lights, loud rooms, or even scratchy clothes can be the trigger. Kids don't say, I'm overstimulated. They say, no, stop, or I don't want it, because their system doesn't feel safe. Discipline assumes choice, but meltdowns are a loss of control. You can't discipline a nervous system back into regulation. Instead of control, your child needs support. You don't discipline them. You regulate with them in that moment. We made a huge shift. We stopped asking why during meltdowns. Questions demand thinking, and thinking isn't available then. Focusing on presence alone can reduce the intensity of an explosion. It signals that you are a safe harbor in the storm. When emotions peak, use this sentence. I see how big this feels. I'm here with you. Say it once, then just stay present. This works because it names the emotion, signals safety, and removes the pressure for them to fix it immediately. Meltdowns won't disappear, but they will shorten. That is the sound of regulation being learned over time. Important note, this isn't for manipulation or defiance. If they are calm enough to negotiate, this isn't the moment. Knowing the difference between a loss of control and a lack of cooperation changes everything about how you respond. Regulation is built slowly through repeated co-regulation, calm boundaries, and predictable responses. Every time you stay regulated, you lend your nervous system to your child. Eventually, they internalize that calm. That's how kids learn to calm themselves. Not by being told what to do, but by being shown how it feels to be safe. We investigate and translate the research so you don't have to. And the research is clear. Kids need regulated parents, not perfect ones. In these moments, your child learns they are safe when overwhelmed and that they can recover. That is true resilience. If this helped you feel less alone, that was the point. Subscribe for weekly research-backed guidance. You've got this. And since you made it this far, you've earned a quiet coffee break. No judgment. Stay tuned for week 2.